Okay, guys, welcome back. This is part two of the series with the technology professional development. We're going to focus primarily on Google Docs and Google Apps that we're able to use and implement in our classroom. If you remember in the last video, we talked about Edmodo and how useful that would be in implementing assignments, polls, quizzes, creating small groups within your classrooms, also being able to post assignments from previous units, things like that for students that miss work. Google Apps or Google Docs is a lot like Edmodo. You could create a classroom, which actually I'm trying to be in the process of allowing the school board to let us get Google Classroom so that teachers within the building can use that, because it's a free resource and it would be highly valuable just depending on your. It's a free resource that would allow teachers to implement the same things that Edmodo does. It just depends on your familiarity and what you're comfortable using. Like Edmodo, I want this to become something that you're able to play around with. I'm not going to walk you through exactly how you should use Google Docs, and I'm going to give you examples of how I've implemented in my classroom and things that we could do to expand. But the goal of this really is for you to sit down and look at things that you could do and how you could add on to, and possibly share with other people within this PD, things that you use Google Docs for. And the idea is basically to exchange ideas for the improvement as a whole of technology use here in our school. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Obviously, you go to the Google homepage up here, like it says, www.google.com. And what you see up here is the large blue button in your top right-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and click on that where it says sign in. And depending on the speed of the internet today, we'll get there as quickly as possible. If not, obviously I have a Google account that I am able to use. If you don't, it's very easy to create. You could say sign in with a different account. You could hit add account. You could also remove this. But when you're adding account, basically all you're doing is going to the sign in button. You would hit create account, and you would have to create a Gmail account on your own. Obviously put your name first and last. You would choose your username, and that would be your Gmail address, creating a password that is personal to you. I'm not sure if this is required, but putting in your birthday, your gender. Mobile phone is definitely not necessary, but if it's something that you are inclined to do, you're more than welcome to do that. A current email address, just in case you forget your password to the Google Docs, and then obviously to prove that you're not a robot. It has you go through and verify things like this to make sure that they're not allowing advertisements or spam to join. But the benefit of adding your phone number, things like that, is that you're able to have Google Docs wherever you go. There's an app that you can download on your phone if you have a smartphone, things that I would find very useful. And we'll get into all the different things that we can use Google for. But let me go ahead and I'll sign in with my account. And like I said, depending on the speed of the internet, it'll either go fast or slow. Okay. I'll just click save password. And so really to get started, you see these thumbnails or tabs up here. Obviously this is personal to me, but this should say your name up here, your Gmail account, images that you're able to save. This is really Google Drive, things like that. And we're going to get into all of these types of things. What I want to do is we'll just kind of go in order, and we'll look at an application called Google Plus. Hopefully this speeds up here in a second and we're able to move forward. And really what I find beneficial about Google Plus, I'll go ahead and skip this part. Google Plus is another form of social media. Again, you're able to have this application on your phone. It works a lot like Twitter does. If it'll let me continue here. Where you're able to post, you're able to friend people, obviously, that and things like that. But what I find this is really useful for a way to connect not just with outside educators and professional learning networks, but also with people within your group. And this is just something that's created automatically for you when you join Google. As you can see down here, you can post where it says share what's new, again a lot like Twitter and Facebook, and it has people that you may know, things like that. As soon as this loads, I'll go ahead and get into what we're able to do with this and why this is a useful tool for you to use. Oh, it's going to let me scroll. Okay. but looking at share what's new, this is beneficial because I think that this is like we use Twitter, things like that. If you were able to create a Google Classroom where you're able to share these things with your students, again, like Edmodo, you're able to post photos, links, videos, have polls, things like that. You're able to put assignments on here as well that I find very useful, things like that. And like this, if you were to scroll down and see the different things, obviously it has like things that you can follow: the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History, Google for Education, things like that. But what I want you to do is when you get onto Google, go to Google Plus and click on your name, and make sure that we'll go home to show you how to do this. If it'll let me. And what I want to make sure that we do is that we're able to connect with one another. This will help us in the evaluation of this professional development, at least for me, but it'll also open up an avenue to you to show how you can connect with not only other educators, but also your students. Let's see here. I apologize for the slow internet connection. Let me see if it lets me go to people. Up here you can search for people, pages, or posts. Obviously, after you've created your Google Plus, if you wouldn't mind searching, obviously searching people, pages, you could type in my name, and that should come up. Obviously, I'm searching for myself, so it might just give me a bunch of results for people that I don't know. But when you get up here, find people, and what I want us to do is to add each other, and what we'll do is we'll create a circle. Okay, and I'll get to you in a second and let you know what that actually means. Okay, so let's see. This looks like it's me. And so what you would be able to do is click this button here and put add. And what we'll do is after everybody becomes friends, I will create a new circle. And we'll go ahead from there, and that's where we'll post forums and things like that and be able to share. But like I said, you're able to search for people, certain pages that you may be into, communities, education-wise. So if I was to come up here and type in it might help if I spell it right. Education, things like that. And it's able to show me different pages that I'm able to follow. The real benefit of this is you're able to take ideas from other educators or lesson plans, things, videos, links, websites that may be helpful to what you're doing in class, that I've actually used as well. But really what I find very useful is the ability to have what I call a Google Hangout. And what that is it allows for face-to-face interactions with certain groups of people. So if you are doing a problem-based learning or a project-based learning unit, again, this is a way to get around students that are unable to meet if they live on one side of the county and they can't get to a certain area and they're not able to meet. This is something that you're able to do on a computer, a tablet, a phone, things like that, so you're able to collaborate on a project. So if you were to come down here, obviously after you add friends, things like that, into certain circles, you're able to start a video hangout. Okay, and what this is, this works like Skype or FaceTime does on iPhones, and you're actually able to communicate with people, like I said, face-to-face, completely free. And if this was actually working, let me see. Click allow above to turn on. We'll just deny. It works better if you have a camera. Obviously, for some reason, the camera's malfunctioning. But what this does is it allows you to have face-to-face interaction. I know a lot of online classes in college do this, especially if you're meeting for webinars or to present projects to people within your group. But I think that's a fantastic resource to use at home. I know that, for example, I'm looking at ways to implement that into my U.S. history class to allow students to present problems, things like that. We'll organize a time to meet. They can use email, things like that, or during class have sign-ups. And then what they can do is they can have that project at home, and as a group we can all meet and have that face-to-face interaction. If you're worried about what happens during that recording, things like that, obviously Google Hangouts are recordable, and you're able to save what happens during them for evidence, things like that, because I know educators and private conversations, things like that, don't mix very well. So if you're looking to protect yourself, if you have any inclination, things like that, that that you don't feel comfortable with, you're more than welcome to use that tool and record whatever you're able to do on there. So let's actually get into, obviously, Google Plus here is a wonderful resource. Like I said, it's social media. It allows you to connect with your students on a broad spectrum, but let's get into why this is useful. If you were to click this tile application up here, obviously you see different apps. You have Google Plus, you have Google Search. Like I said, the internet has a vast array of resources that you're able to use. In education today, you're seeing more and more technology introduced, and the internet is going to be that primary way for students to access information. I can think of an example in history and social studies. It's no longer a standard to expose students to maps and where people and places live, because that's something people feel like they can look up on the internet. So the memorization of states and capitals, where rivers are located, things like that, is considered a non-issue because you're able to get on Google and look up the capital of Florida is Tallahassee or Mississippi, things like that. But moving forward, you also have YouTube. So if you were able to connect and post things as a YouTube user, all these accounts are connected, and so that's what makes that very beneficial. You're able to create a YouTube account and go from there. That's something that if we have time here at the end, I'll click on and we'll go into further information on that. But Google Play is obviously a place you can buy and use apps for classroom use or at home use. Google News. And then what I find most beneficial in collaboration with students is Gmail, that allows students to communicate using email. I know, for example, in my classes, when I've had students write papers and email them to me, I would say easily 50% of the students don't know the basic skill of sending an email. And that's something that they struggle with. And if we're really trying to create 21st century learners, that is something that we need to teach them. I mean, when they go out into the workforce, by 2025, the majority of jobs are going to, lower level jobs are going to be taken over by robots. And that's a fact. That's something that's been written in multiple scientific publications, economic publications. And so that's something that we really need to prepare our students for. But what is really kind of the thing that I feel like is the most beneficial is the concept of Google Drive. And what that is it allows students to be able to type papers, create presentations, access classroom information for free. And like I said, this is an online resource that you're able to share with those students, and it's not something that is just out there. You have to share your documents. And so say, for example, this would obviously be my drive. You can create folders. For example, I have an EDU 560 folder for my grad classes, a U.S. history folder for my students, and they're not able to access this information unless I share it with them. And the way that you would do that to create a folder is you just come here, create new folder. I could create this and create, and I'd be able to drop files in there. Things that I would want you guys to possibly access that I would be able to share with you after you create your Google account, obviously, and we become friends and exchange emails, things like that. But that's just creating a folder. You're able to upload files. So if I had an assignment from U.S. history that I wanted to upload, I could go into desktop, find my unit resources, and go into different units. So for example, the Constitution unit, if I wanted to upload their vocab list, that would be something that I could put into U.S. history very easily and just double click on that, and then it would upload the item for me. Obviously, the smaller it is, the easier it is to upload and the quicker that it goes. But then I would be able to take that list electronically as soon as it says that it's uploaded, and then I'd be able to access that. Well, I'd be able to move it here. Let's see. Into U.S. history, and now since that folder is shared with multiple people, they would just be able to get on their Google Drive, look for U.S. history, and then access that 2014 Unit 1 vocab list as soon as it loads here. But it should, like I said, open up as a Google Docs document. They'd be able to print it and manipulate it how they saw fit, and things like that. If I wanted to get out of here, I would just come up here to this X and then close it from there. But that's obviously something that is very, very useful as far as classroom information. Now, if we're getting into projects, presentations that students are presenting, again, when we talked about on Edmodo about creating smaller student groups that are able to implement things like this, what I have found very useful is using Google Docs, Google Presentations. And the way that you would access that is you would come up here to your new button, obviously the bright orange button, and you would just click it once. Okay, again, you see the ability to create folders, upload files, upload entire folders. But really what is great about this and using it in your classroom, especially on higher levels, is apps like Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, things like that. So let's kind of look at Google Docs and what that allows us to do as far as student collaboration, things like that. So if you assigned a group of 4 students to work on a project, say they had to write a research paper or they had to create a thesis and explain that to the class, things like that, you could literally have 4 people working simultaneously on this document. And the way that you were able to do that is you would go up here to your right-hand column or your right-hand corner, and you would click the share button. All right. And what this allows to do, obviously you have to name it, so you could just research paper demo and hit save. And when you come up here to share, you would just simply type in email addresses with people that you wanted to share with. You can change the settings obviously over here as to what people are able to do. For example, you could allow them to edit, they can comment, they can view. If you want to put this in protective view, obviously if you're a classroom teacher and you're wanting to give your students an assignment but obviously not allow them to edit and change the requirements, you would just click Can View, and then you would share it with those people, and within those people you could create a group so you're not having to type multiple addresses within that. But if I was wanting to, for example, share with you all as a group, the PD Technology group, I would put in there, obviously can edit, and the goal is once we all become friends on Google Plus, we can then kind of create a forum in here within Google Docs where we're able to talk and collaborate with each other as to how we use Google Documents, and that's something that I would like to set up as far as that goes. But the primary goal, obviously I'm not going to create that document, but I just wanted to show you what you can do is you can have 4 people simultaneously working on one paper in general, and so if you assign different parts of the paper to different members of the group, it then makes it very easy for those group members to work not only simultaneously, but to be able to add their portion of the document whenever they wanted to, and then it would be one polished, finished piece. And also other people in the group are able to look at and edit certain parts and talk with each other. So for example, if you wanted to use a Google Hangout to look at your paper together or to look at your presentation together and talk about what each group member needed to do and what they wanted to do and how they could improve it, that would be a fantastic resource, especially since they would have that at home. You're not wasting class time, especially if you would have to go to each group. You could then use class time to talk about issues as a whole and present that to the class, and then later on during the day you could use that tool, like I said, Google Hangouts, to be able to talk with individual groups and talk about ways that they can implement things that would make their project better. And then, like I said, during class time you're actually helping students broadly and not spending so much time focused on one group, and then all of a sudden you see this project that was supposed to take 2 weeks stretch out to 4 weeks, and just something that would help not only improve times but also something that would be very useful, because then students are able to access their education when they want to. Another useful tool, not just Google Docs, but Google Sheets, allows students or teachers to create Excel spreadsheets. If you wanted to keep data or things like that on students, this would be a great way to do that. If you wanted to keep or catalog student achievement, so if you wanted to have them reflect in class how they did from test to test or research paper to research paper or project to project, this would be a great way to catalog their scores so that they're able to access that. Obviously they have Infinite Campus, but I'm talking about on an individual basis. If you wanted to have them create a spreadsheet where it's more student accountability and based on their abilities to go in, look up their grades, and then track themselves and then share with you, or if you wanted them to be able to do this and then ask you questions and say, why does this happen here? And if you wanted to expose them to that, it's just a great way to track information so that they're able to organize that, whether you wanted that to be between teacher and student, or student individually, or students as a group if they're working on a project together. Again, like I said, the ability to collaborate at the same time is a huge plus for this. Obviously, still you have Google Slides as well, which operates just like PowerPoint does. Again, the primary reason for using this is that you're able to have multiple students working on a presentation at the same time. And so if you have students that have different parts of the project that they're supposed to be doing, like I said, this would be a great opportunity to have them do that. I'm not going to choose a theme, but they'd be able to create multiple slides at the same time. And again, just like Google Docs, they'd be able to have a hangout and look at Google Docs and present what they want to do, again, with problem-based learning. Also, if they had a presentation that they needed to do and you don't want to waste class time to do that, you could schedule a Google Hangout for students to be able to present that to the instructor. And again, if you're worried about having a video chat with your students, you can record it and make sure that you have that as backup and proof. One other thing that I want to show you real quick, because I know that we're running long on time, is the Google Forms. And I think this is a fantastic way to collect data, obviously classroom-wise, but I'm going to use this to kind of get your feedback on how this professional development was useful to you. This works just like it does in Microsoft Word. You have action buttons up here. You're able to click File, add collaborators if you wanted people to be able to share it, sending the form, creating a new one, whether you want it to be a document, a spreadsheet, presentation, a form, things like that, renaming it, making a copy of it, things like that, printing the document if you wanted to hand it out. But like I said, I'll let you guys mess with this however you see fit, changing the theme. You know, you could look at different parts of what you wanted to do with this. Obviously, you can go through and create different forms as you wanted to. But what I'll do is I'll just show you how to create the document, and then you're able to email it to people and get the data back. So this would be okay. So professional development evaluation. You could say question title, effectiveness. Oh, I apologize. Of Google Docs presentation. And then you could choose the multiple choice. Again, I'm going to choose an open response. And what I would want you to do is then evaluate the effectiveness of the Google Docs presentation. Again, this is something that I'll send you later once we've all gotten onto Google and created our profiles, things like that, and been able to share. I'll send this to your Google email and hopefully get some feedback and be able to collect that data. But what it lets you do is once you click done, obviously the effectiveness of Google Docs, you're then able to publish and show a public link to form results, allow responders to edit responses after submitting. Obviously, I don't think you guys are going to get on there and put things that are inappropriate, but this allows you to then send the form in email. You could also share the link on Google+, Facebook, or Twitter. Like I said, you could send it via email, which is the venue that I'll probably do. To make it as easy as possible to get feedback. But what it does is it allows that then to send the feedback, and what you're able to do is come up here and look at those responses. You can see the summary of the responses to your Google form. So if you're having group members evaluate one another, this would be a fantastic tool because they're able to do it technology based, and they're able to email it to you, and they're able to do it personally, because then you're not having students look at each other's answers. What did you put about me? What did you say here? And they're able to send that to you individually as a group. Again, Google Docs is a great tool. Like I said, when we are able to get on here, what I want to do is to be able to create a forum. Obviously, we would go here into Google Docs, and when we all create our Google profiles, I want you guys to add me as a friend on Google Plus or share that with me. And what I'll do is I'll create a forum here. And what I want each member to do is to go ahead, obviously put your name. You can put the date, things like that if you want to. But like I said, once you're able to share with me your email address, things like that, you can add me on Google+. You can send me an email at afangman1@gmail.com. But then I'll share this document, and what we'll be able to do is access it on your drives. You'll see that document show up on your drive, and I kind of want it to be a place where we're able to have a conversation. What I would like to do is each member to post at least 1 to 2 ideas of how they would utilize Google Docs or Google Forms, the Google applications in your classroom, and how that would be beneficial to you. And so I appreciate you guys watching this video, and hopefully we can continue on collaborating and using technology in our classrooms and for lack of a better term, stealing ideas from one another. Thank you, and have a good night.